So in this video I'm going to explain why religions are full of shit and why I don't follow them. Now you might disagree, that's okay. I'm not really here to tell you you shouldn't be religious, or I'm not here to bash on religious people. I've known a lot of religious people, some are good, some are cool, but this isn't what this is about. This is about what the core of religions are. My main argument, I suppose, my main purpose of this video is to counter the argument that says that religions are required for morality and that religions make people better, or any of this nonsense. And the main reason I believe this, the main reason I believe that religions do not lead to morality, well, let's just look at it this way. Take Christianity, for example. Christianity has these rules, the Ten Commandments, these belief systems. If you believe in Jesus or whatnot, you go to heaven. That's not morality. That's a trade-off. That's saying, I'm not going to kill you because my God tells me not to. Real morality just says, I respect your right to live, therefore I'm not going to kill you. But more so, at the core of religion is this belief that there's this other subjectivity out there, this kind of higher power that overrides everything else. And the reason why religion doesn't lead to morality is because insofar as someone sees themselves as a servant of this higher power, they can do anything. Anything goes. You see this in all sorts of fundamentalisms and totalitarianisms, where people believe that they're serving this greater cause, whether it's God, whether it's history, or quote unquote the people, and therefore they can do anything they fucking want. They can cut people's heads off. They can murder millions of people. So at the core of religion is this belief in this higher cause, and through that higher cause, so long as you are a servant of that higher cause, you can do anything. That's not morality. My second point is, okay, so I know many of you are out there saying, well, Nick, I'm not chopping off anybody's head. My religion is good. I'm peace-loving, yada yada yada. Well, what's the basis of that? Is that really a morality, or is it a response to a system which you see as immoral? Is that a response to an external sort of cold world with all its injustices? And instead of actually challenging those injustices, instead of taking an active stance to oppose that, you yourself refrain from it, you abstain from those practices, or at least you say you do, or at least people say they do. And they see this as the ultimate bar of morality. So in a sense, and Nietzsche said it best really, I mean, religion is this kind of slave morality, whereas those in power embodied all these characteristics like greed, ruthlessness, and in order to alleviate your own feeling of helplessness, oppression, downtroddenness, you see your own characteristics, your lack of greed, your lack of your lack of greed, and your lack of ruthlessness as a sign of morality. And people. So I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, I'm not cutting off anybody's heads. I don't know any religious people that are cutting off people's heads. In fact, my religion is peaceful, yada yada yada. But where does this come from? And I would argue this in a Nietzschean sense. Faced with a cruel world where there's some with power, some without power, people look at those with power and they see the characteristics they embody, like greed, ruthlessness, cruelty, and instead of actively challenging those things, they set up an alternative morality system where they look at those characteristics and they describe those as wicked and evil, and they develop these systems of religions and morality to counterpose that they describe as morality, goodness. So instead of actually challenging their own oppression, they counterpose their lack of power and describe it as purity. So in that sense, religion is really just a means of alleviating people's own sense of helplessness, own sense of the powerlessness, and their own kind of downtroddenness. It's a way of making them feel better about it, making them feel that because they're not the pinnacles of power in today's society or any society, that therefore they are good, moral, blah, 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 blah. And the last point I would make is what's called ethical signaling. And this might, go for the rest of you. It's, people who are like, well, my religion's good. I'm not really opposed to injustice necessarily. I just think people should do the right thing. And I would argue that these sorts of people, these are the type of people who identify with an established religion. They really know nothing about the religion that they identify with. People would be pretty shocked if you actually, somebody did this a few weeks ago. They read passages out of the Bible and they told people it was from the Quran, and everyone they told this to was like, oh, those people are so barbaric. Of course the Bible talks about raping people and killing people and committing genocide and things like that. So the people who kind of identify with these religions without knowing anything about them really, without having maybe skimmed the Bible, read a few passages at church or whatever, it's not really that they have an accurate knowledge of the canon that they claim to follow. Rather, they use religion as a way of identifying with a group and as a way to distinguish themselves from other groups. So in that sense, religion isn't really, even a belief in a higher power or belief in a big other. It's rather a way to solidify group identity and to tell others you're a good person, that you belong, without actually having to do anything. All you have to do is say, I'm Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim or whatever. And then automatically you are seen as part of the group. So I know a lot of you think, well, if there's no religion, what is there? How can you be moral? It's really fucking simple. Treat people with respect. It doesn't take a fucking. You don't need to be. You don't need to have a reward for it. If you're doing good things because you think after you die good things are going to happen to you, then you're just kind of a really shrewd, petty person. I see this a lot in like Buddhism, where it's like, if I'm humble in this life, then I'll be rich in the next life. Well, if you're doing that, you're not really humble. You're just trying to get a reward in the next life. So instead of like looking to the next life or looking to heaven or blah 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 blah, just try treating people with respect and treating people right, and you might find that you don't need religion to be moral. So to break it down for you, religions don't lead to morality. In fact, through a religion, through a belief in a big other, you can do fucking anything and call it morality. Or through describing yourself as pure and good, you can counterpose yourself to those in power as a way to alleviate your own feeling of helplessness, own feelings of poverty, etc., etc. And you can identify with a group that you see as good. It can help you fit in. So instead of religion, what I would counterpose is this. This is my basic view. People themselves are more or less like gods. We're incredibly powerful in a sense. We've been able to take a wilderness and change it for better or worse into something that's fairly comfortable, fairly amenable to our own life. So we're immensely powerful, but nonetheless we still ascribe this power as to something external to us. So in a nutshell, people are gods, but we've resigned ourselves to believing that our power lies external to us. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.